Hello, good evening everyone. This is Dr. Ajab. I am a clinical psychologist and a therapist. Welcome to the webinar for Increase Your Positive Well-Being in Uncertain Times. Thank you so much, DPS Bopal, for giving me this opportunity to communicate with all of you for this particular thing. And in this pandemic, when we know that there are so many things going on around us, there are so many uncertainties around, we don't know what's going to happen next, we are stuck at our homes, so it's like a storm which is going on, and at the back of our mind we all are thinking we all are stuck in the same boat. And I'm listening lots and lots of reply of good evening from everyone. Thank you so much for attending the session. Here, when we are talking about this particular storm, I'll not say that we all are in the same boat. I'll just say that we all are facing the same storm. When we say facing the same storm, it is a bit different than what we all are facing is parallel or not. Now let me just give a brief about how do we see this particular scenario as happening with us. We all are facing this pandemic of this lockdown situation, the scare of the coronavirus, how it is happening, how are we going ahead with it, what is going to happen next. It's not only this lockdown situation, but what's going to happen next is equally important for us. This is something which we are placing, and we want to know how are we going to cope with it and move ahead with it. Will our life be the same as it is right now? Will there be changes around with it? We have no idea and no clue about what's going to happen next. But still, we don't know what's going to happen next, but we still know what we are doing right now. So let us work on the positivity quotient of the point right now and see how we can cope with it at the current situation. So here, when we are talking about these different scenarios, oh, Suman ma'am joined in. Thank you, Suman, so much for coming in. So here, when we are talking about these different issues and different concerns, let us start in bits and pieces, getting to know what exactly this pandemic is all about. Yeah, we all have heard a lot and read a lot about it, and we have WhatsApp is the biggest guru right now, giving all the information that what to do, how to do, what not to do. So is this something in which we are associated with some kind of miscommunication or some kind of differentiation? Alright, coming back to what I was saying is that when we were talking about that we all are facing the same storm, but we all are in different boats. In this particular situation, when we say we all are in different boats, some are worried about what will be the future of our children? How are we going to work with them? How are we going to face with them? Some are worried about that how do we cope with this particular situation? How do we come ahead with it? Okay, now is it, some are messaging that my voice is not very clear. Is it clear now? Can everyone hear me? If I can just have 1 or 2 yeses in the chat box, that will be clear. So here, when we are talking about this different boat scenario, it is something in which we are discussing about the situation is faced by different people in different manner. When I say different people, say for some people it is about how to keep the children busy. They are too young. For some people, oh my God, I have work from home going on, and how do I manage my kids at that time? Thank you so much everyone for replying. I'm audible. Thank you. So here at this point, it is the scenario in which there are multiple worries which are going around, and we are facing those situations in a very different manner. So before we go ahead, I'll just give you a brief introduction about what COVID-19 or the coronavirus is. So just the basic, and it will be quite clear that yes, it is dangerous, but it can be something which can be fought with, and most of us have already learned that. Most of us are already gone ahead with that scenario. So here, when we are talking about the virus, it is something which is a virus and not a bacteria. These are scientific explanations about it. So when we say it is a virus, It is something which feeds on, it is like a pathogen which feeds on somebody else's body. It is not alive on its own. So the first fear can be eradicated when we can overcome that particular scenario and feel that this is a virus. If we take good care of ourselves, then we can easily get rid of it. It's not a bacteria which is alive on its own and which will survive for a very longer period of time. It's a virus which can be eradicated if not in contact, and this has been told to us multiple times, but here it is scientifically proved because it is a virus and not a bacteria. So here it becomes more clear and more confident of the fact. So these things are based on facts of what we have already known, and it is not something which we will be just saying it in air, but it will be something in which we'll be talking along with proof to it. The next is that how are we getting to know about this virus? First is the information which we are getting. So through media, through WhatsApp, we are getting that information. So we are knowing whatever everyone is telling. So we are just feeding in different things that come on, ye bhi hai, ye bhi hai, ye bhi hai. We are just keeping on adding and piling ourselves with whatever is happening. The next is, from that information, how much knowledge are we gathering? So when we talk about knowledge, it is something that we rule out, acha, this is good, this is not so good, this is something which is valuable to me, or this is something which can be worked out with the passage of time and I can cope with it. That is knowledge. And then comes, we are humans, we do have our own IQs. So let us talk about the wisdom. So when we talk about the wisdom criteria, it is something in which we will be talking about how we are coping with it, how we can manage with it, how we can work with it, how we can really get at par with it. That is something which will be at our wisdom. When we say eliminating, it is not eliminating the virus. It is eliminating the negativity. It is eliminating the disturbances and what it is for me and what it is not for me. Say for example, we are under lockdown situation since 21st of March. Everything closed down and the lockdown came after the Janata curfew, and things started deteriorating at a very larger extent. We all got scared at the initial that, okay, how are we going to cope with it? But then that is how we have learned. And humans are a perspective in which we are resistant to change. We don't want to change. When we talk about changes, we get scared. But we all know change is the only thing which is constant. And how many of you became good chefs in this particular situation with this lockdown, trying to have creative ideas about cooking with whatever was available, whatever is in our vicinity, try to make more and more lively things so that our kids get engaged, our family gets involved. And okay, a big task for the housewives, managing without maids. Yeah, if you have a maid who is coming from outside and still you have that fear that if that maid has got some contagious within her, and how are we going to cope with it? So, I'm getting yeses which says that yes, they have been into lots of cooking and trying new things. As humans, as I said, that we have a tendency of focusing on something which is not that great for us. That is our way of our focusing. That is something, when we are focusing, it is something which is a human tendency to focus only on the negatives. So after all that we have about the information of the virus, we have the knowledge about it, we are wise enough to see how it is fruitful for us or not fruitful for us, then next thing is, how do we change it? Or how do we cope with it? So when we talk about changes, it is something in which we are talking about the changes which came from outside, that is the outside world, to our inner selves. That is from outside to inside. But then as humans, we are usually focused on whatever is there in the surrounding. We don't focus on things which we have in ourselves. So that is where it goes. So let us change our, okay, before I say this, I will just say that I'll also be sharing a few tips because everyone knows about this pandemic. So how do we increase our positivity? How do we go with the well-being? So I'll be giving a few tips parallelly in which we can cope it and follow it within ourselves and see the changes not only for ourselves but for our surrounding and the positivity for our surrounding. I hope it will be useful because I have tried these for myself and it has been really, really grateful and really helpful in this current period of time. When we talk about any pandemic, when we say that this is a lockdown situation, it is a kind of crisis. Just everyone take a moment for yourself and think that whether we have faced crisis in our life for the first time. I am not very sure for everybody, but at every level, maybe at a lower level, at a higher level, we all have faced crisis in our lives, depending on different situations. Yes, when we say, oh, someone is saying it is the need of the hour. Yes, crisis is something which is giving us a lot of input to think about. But when we reflect, we all have faced crisis at every different moment in our lives. But it's just the change is that everyone is facing the crisis at the same time. That's a certainty which has come up in this present situation. So when you're talking about crisis, it is something where we need to cope and overcome with it. So let us say when we talk about this situation, it is not only that only one city is facing it, one locality is facing it, one community is facing it. It is something which is faced by the whole world. And imagine, like I was just reading certain stuff on COVID-19, and where it says face COVID is such a positive aspect if you create a full form to it. So if anybody is keen on creating that full form of face COVID and putting up on the chat section, I'll really appreciate that. But I want a positive approach toward the face COVID thing so that we all can learn and move ahead with it. So here, when we are talking about changes, it is that we are always focused on the negativity in our lives. Oh, lockdown hai, हम लोग ये नहीं कर रहे, हम लोग वो नहीं कर रहे. But the first thing is that we are spending so much time with our family. That's the best thing which we are doing. Irrespective that I know we might be facing hard times at some point. But why to focus only on the negatives which we have got with that scenario? Why not work it out and focus on things which we have really, really got as a plus point? Okay, I'll just share one incident, or I'll say an experiment. So here there was an experiment which was conducted by the University of Minnesota, and they wanted to see how human beings have a strategy of thinking between or making a choice between positives and negatives. So at that time, there were around 5,200 participants, and everyone was new. So they were given situations and they were said that, okay, please quote any situations from your life which you remember. Out of these 5,200 participants, a very strong number, that is 4,986 participants, quoted negative informations or negative events of their life. When it was cross-questioned with them, of course it was a longitudinal study in which it took a couple of days. So when it was questioned to them, saying that, okay, don't you have, this is the biggest life incident which you have gone through? So at that time, it was found out they did have very strong positive life incidents also, but they started focusing only on the negatives of their life incident. So it is the same with us as humans. The other thing which has come up very strongly, this goes back to the time when we are really, really very, very keen, and let us go to the time of the primitive age. So when we talk about the primitive age, at that time, it was the lifestyle which always focused us on looking towards the negatives. So when we talk about that lifestyle, oh, वो शेर चीता आ गया, मुझे अपने केव में बच के भागना है. So at that time, that was the need of that hour that we had to focus, and it became the concept of that scenario that we started focusing on the negative, and it became this as a routine, that's our lifestyle, and that is something which we have to just change. It is not something which is very difficult, or not something in which you cannot put up a great heed into, but you can easily do it if you focus on it, if you try to make it your pattern. So yeah, someone has written that this is the time of self-assessment. Of course it is a type of self-assessment, where we as humans, we have always given time to our work, our home, our kids, our parents. Think how many of us do really give time to ourselves. So let us take the first positive take of this session, that why is this lockdown giving us positivity? So here the first concept about positivity is that it has given time for self-assessment to us. It has given time for us to think about ourselves at a certain point. Yeah, with maids not coming, the husband coming and helping in the kitchen, or the kids doing jhadu pocha bartan for us, or everyone sitting together and enjoying board games, which we are missing since a very long time. So this is the first positive aspect. And this can happen when we think that, not only when we are thinking and talking about well-being as not being well-being only of the physical self, but when we talk about well-being, it is something which is also associated with our concept of mental health. When we say I'm healthy, are you healthy when you just don't have physical ailments? No, it is we are healthy when we are free from worries, when we are free from different kind of pressures, stress, and that is where comes the concept of mental well-being. Along with mental well-being, we are also talking about our emotional well-being, which is the very, very, very strong concept which is coming up with the times right now. Because initially people said, oh, mujhe bukhar aa raha hai, so that is the only thing people used to focus on. But bukhar aa raha hai, tab can you work really, really in a very good manner at that time? No, you can't. You can't. And if you have a fight at home, or if you had a bad day at work, will it still be the same for your energy level, for your, what we can say, mood upliftments? No. So when we talk about well-being, it comes as a combination of us being physically healthy, mentally healthy, and emotionally healthy. Yeah, one more thing I'm getting from the comments is that the sense of togetherness and giving pleasure has increased. Of course it has increased, because we all are really, really happy with ourselves, with our families. Barely we used to get time with our children. Now, though children have classes going on, we have our work from home scenarios, but still we manage our times and we go ahead. When we say sense of togetherness, I just talked about playing board games together. How many of us, like there was vacation, once in a blue moon we used to do this, but now it has become a pattern. Every day post dinner, a board game has to come, maybe a Ludo or Snakes and Ladder. And I'm not talking about anybody. This is the concept about everybody. Maybe people, those who are in different stratas of economics, they might have their own problems. Everyone is sailing in the boat कि जब lockdown खुलेगा उसके बाद क्या होगा? How are we going to cope with it? But that is all we will see when the time comes. Being in the present, that is something which is the concept of mindfulness. You be in your present. You see how you are coping with it. And this is how will not only survive, but we will thrive out of the situation. When we say surviving, we all know Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest, that only the fittest will survive and the perishment of the weak. But right now, when we are talking about that particular survival, we don't have to survive just in this present situation. We have to thrive out of that situation, learn something good, be a good or a learned human being, be a different person. And when we come out, we have to be an added individual, where we are, how we have coped with it, how we have come up with it. That is something where we have to move, and this is what we call as thriving. When we say thriving, it is something, again, the power of mind. This is the power of mind over our matter. Matter is the world around us. We are a part of the matter. But then when we are thriving, our power of mind is motivating us to deal with the matters around us. I know we all are social beings. We need people around us. We miss our friends. We miss being physically with them. We miss being around them. But still, aren't we having... I don't think anybody will say that, oh, I did not have any video call sessions during this time, or I did not chat with any of my long back friends, and I have never thought about talking to any of the people whom I am not in touch with since a very long time. So this is, of course we are socializing. We are being social animals, but in a different way. When we talk about, I'm getting a very good comment where it says that we don't have to worry about a future. If we do nice in our present, future is gonna be good. This is something which is really, really helpful to us. When we say that about our future, how many of us believe that we as Indians are coming from the farmers' country? We are. So I'll just repeat one proverb and you'll get that connect very easily. As you sow, so shall you reap. So in your present, if you are sowing good seeds, of course our future is gonna be great. And see, when I say thriving, learning new skills, coming up with different ideas, most of us, the best thing which most of us have developed as a new skill is the culinary art. And I think most of us, them present in this, would agree with me, including Jennifer ma'am and Suman ma'am and everybody, that most of us have become amazing chefs these days. People, those who have never stepped into the kitchen, are now creating good stuff. This is how we can do it. It is something in which we say the power of mind over matter. So when we say about learning new skills, about learning new strategies, it's not only about in the profession in which we are. It is something in which we are not even equipped. Maybe a skill which you had thought of doing at some time and you never got a time to do it. This is the time to do it. Some people say that मेरे पास वक्त नहीं है, वक्त नहीं है, वक्त नहीं है. Come on, now you have all the time to do everything you want. Yeah, working from home is giving us a lot of time and freedom to do additional things which we wanted to do always. Some lost hobbies. I used to love to paint. I used to like drawing. I used to like to just clean my house at a point. Like, I know people, those who have said that, oh, I have cleaned my house so well now. And I thought it was pending since a very long time. Yeah, and see, the pandemic is there. It's not that it is not there. It's not that we just close our eyes and things will disappear. No, it is there. We have to be more precautive. So when we are talking about this new skill, as individual we are learning, as a society also we are learning new skill. So when we talk about this learning new skill as a society, let us look that when we go out, as in when the lockdown happens or opens up, when we go out, at that point of time, the basic skill which we'll be learning at that time as a society is being more hygienic, being more cautious about our cleanliness. Don't you think as a society we are grooming in that perspective, that everyone is becoming more cautious, that okay, I have to wash my hands, I have to be more clean in my clothes. And it is not only for us, it is about young children also. Like, I have a 4-year-old child in my neighborhood, and that child, as soon as she enters, the first thing she'll come to my place, and as the first thing when she comes to play at my place, the first thing she'll say, can I go and wash my hands please? And this is something which is such a good learning. At the age of 4, that young child is learning so much. So imagine, as grown-ups, as a society, we will be learning so much around us. So this is that we are not doing just as an individual, as a group, as a family. And imagine work from home scenario. certain things, work from home, nobody had even thought that it would be possible. But now work from home is the only option which is available. Yeah, it is. I'm getting a comment which says that it also makes our mind creative. Yes, rather than making. Okay, now again, this is in our own hands. An empty mind is a devil's workshop. Either we make that true, or an empty mind can be a more creative perspective to make that true. So, as humans, we have a tendency to think and procrastinate. Arey, kuch nahi ho raha hai, we can't do anything. But here I'll suggest, rather than doing that, focus on the positive self and make your mind more creative and lively. This is something which we will be able to do at a very, very large extent. Learning, and see, yes, thank you so much. Here there is someone who said that learning is an ongoing process. Of course it is an ongoing process. Change is the only thing which is constant. We keep on changing, we keep on learning new things. This is the present scenario in which we have to learn and cope with it in the best possible manner, that how we go ahead with it, how we should progressively move ahead with it, and how we have to be in this uncertain time, how we have to make ourselves so strong that not only a very, very present uncertain time, but in our future, whenever we have any uncertain scenarios in our life, we'll be able to cope with it in a very, very good perspective. Yes, it is a very good time to introspect ourselves. When we say introspection, can we do a quick exercise about it so that I can give you tips of how to go ahead with it? So when we say introspection, can you all just quickly look towards yourself and see that in these lockdown days, what is one creativity or what is the one new skill which we have learned during this time? And if you would like to share, it would be more than happy. But in case if you don't want to share and want to keep it to yourself, then also it's fine. But just introspect for yourself that during these lockdown, which is the one new skill or one certain creative thing which you have done during this particular perspective. And I think most of you must have done something or the other, except people might be having work from home, financial crisis going on, or how will the kids manage, what will be their future. These all things are always going on and hovering our mind. But is it so important that we only have to focus on those perspectives? Yeah, people have created writing part. Like they have developed their skills, they have developed their creative say. Oh, okay, thanks Jennifer ma'am. One very strong perspective as teachers which we all have learned is how to take online classes, which we never thought earlier which was possible for us. But yes, we have learned that skill very strongly. And on the other hand, our students have learned how to be attending online classes. Because when you talk about online classes conducted by teachers, it is vice versa for our students. Like this interactive session where we are present, like I'm talking to all of you. This is something which is a good learning, which couple of months back we would have not thought of something like this. Oh ma'am, please come physically over here, and parents also had to travel. But now we are doing this from the safest place, which is our homes. So of course that is learning. We have all become online friendly, correct. We have all tried to become more techno savvy, agreed. But when we are talking about all this, with this there is one hitch which is coming, that it has become a very, very crucial time in which screen time has increased a lot. But then do you think that we all are balancing with the screen time? Yes, okay, I'm getting people who are saying they have practiced their hobbies. Oh, patience, yes, this is something which all of us have learned at a very large extent in this lockdown. Oh, I want to go shopping and I can't go out and shop. Oh, I want to really make this, but I'm not able to cook that particular thing which I wanted to because I don't have the basic ingredients for that. So the patience has developed a lot of things. Oh, I'm getting someone who has started learning German, someone who has started developing this as how we can go ahead with seminars and webinars without physically traveling. Yes, and I just said that connecting to family members, people have started connecting to long lost family members. having Zoom meetings with them every day, scheduling a time where they can just talk to everyone. One thing which I want as a very strong take from today's session is, whatever positivity we have started from this lockdown, please, please, please don't stop it once the lockdown is over. Imagine we all are working, we all are doing, we are managing without the maids and any house help. We all are doing it, but still we are managing time to spend with our family. We are still getting that, oh, I have to call up that long lost friend of mine. So make it a point that this is a new learning which we have developed, which can go post lockdown also. It is not necessary where we can manage. Oh, one thing which came up, which is really very strong, which is my next point, that segregation of essential and luxury. We all have started living our lives with the basics which are available, ruling out what is not necessary at this time. It can be because of any reason. It can be that for some people, the reason is they don't have money. So needs are the priority. And for some people, it is that they have all the money, but the resources are not available in the vicinity. I'll just share one video. It was very much popular on WhatsApp couple of days back, but I found a very strong learning out of it. So I'll just share the content of it. There were two kids. This is a video from Europe which got viral. They wanted to visit the restaurant on a they had a strong urge of visiting the restaurant. The kids were 5-year-old and 3-year-old. The parents decided that, oh, I want to make my child happy, and they put in all the effort, and they created a scenario at their house where they said that, okay, welcome to mommy and daddy's restaurant. They created a menu card. So this is the kind of adjustment which they did to make their kids happy. So as parents, we can also think of something which we can do. As students, they will also think of something, some creative ideas. Imagine we just had Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers present. So we had Mother's Day. Initially it would have been that the kids would have just gone out and got a cake and said happy Mother's Day. But this time, if I ask, there would be so many creative kids, those who have thought of multiple ideas for making their mom happy. So this is how we have to take care of our well-being. So this video which I'm talking about, few of them have already seen that video. It is such a good learning that nothing is impossible. If we want, we can. And this is where the positivity punches in our thought process. That well-being is correlated with how we think, how we collate our life. See, there are crises, nothing is imaginary. But still, if you just go on cribbing about it or thinking about it, do you think that we will be able to get out of it easily? No. Karna hi hai, to rather do it with pride and doing it more better way than not just cribbing about it. So here when we are talking about these, it is that we have to make our way towards, and this is a very small activity which you can do, where you can just change yourself towards the positive aspect of life and go ahead with it. So here let us talk about so when we say everyone is talking about COVID, I got very good full forms of COVID-19, face COVID, and they are really good. So here when we talk about these COVID condition, and I said that at the end of the session I would like you to give certain things which would be helpful for you to cope with this particular scenario. So first, we have discussed at a very large extent about the positive thinking. So how we can do positive thinking? It is just a way in which we visualize. The visualization can be about positive things around us, about how we are thinking of doing things with great advent, with minimal resources, how we are curbing out our luxuries. We all are surviving without outside food. We all are surviving without going to movies. We all are surviving. So how are we surviving? And that survival, how we are changing into thriving. How we are moving ahead and coping with it. This can happen through positive thinking of visualization. When we visualize things, that, oh, in my life everything is going great. This is a situation and this shall pass away. It is just a situation and this too shall pass away. And then this is something which will be really, really very great for us, and we can make it as our lifestyle change and a progressive change which can be followed not only for this particular situation but at every aspect of your life. Okay, here I'm getting a very good comment when I was talking about this Mother's Day creative idea. Here I get to know that I made surprise by my hand for my mother, and this girl, I think she has created something really very, really very nice and special for her mother by her own hands. This is something, maybe she must have used some fingerprint or something. I would like to know more about that also, but at a later stage. That's okay. So thank you so much for your reply. Here, when we are talking about things to work, the first thing as a keynote for today's learning for the session of increase your positive well-being in uncertain times. When we say positive well-being, the first is positive thinking. This is something which is really, really there. Second is mindfulness. How are we doing it? How are we coping with it? And how are we being mindful with it? What is mindfulness? When we talk about mindfulness, we are analyzing certain things in which we are doing it for our good, for the good of our family, for the good of our surrounding and everybody around us. This is being mindful. The next is meditation. When we say meditation, it is irrespective of any caste, creed, society. Meditation is something which can give you something to make you more positive. Meditation is just controlling your own thoughts and enjoying the well-being, that the first thing that you are alive, you're able to breathe. You're doing it. Why? Because you're allowed to do it. This is the concept of meditation. It is not that a person who is meditating, it will give you better focus. And when we say these things, it will also be helpful for you in your day-to-day routine. So when we say meditation, of course it will improve your concentration. When we say meditation, it will also help you in your day-to-day routine. That yes, of course, you'll be able to be more focused, you'll be able to be more vigilant about things around you, you'll be able to be more strong in things which you are doing around for yourself. Then next is coping. When we say coping, it is not just living through it. It is learning and going ahead with it. We have discussed about this also at a very large extent. I'm just giving you it in a nutshell. Coping is thriving, learning new skills, developing ourselves in a better way and moving ahead in whatever we are. The next is relaxation. Okay, when we say relaxation, it's not just sleeping. Oh, I don't have office. I'm working from home. My office starts at 10. I'll stand up at 9:45. No, this is not relaxation. This might create a stress and anxiety in you that, okay, it's 9:45 and I'm still not had my tea and it will be really disastrous for me. When I say relaxation, it is relaxation within yourself. Relaxation for your own self. Being at ease with your own mind and body. That is the concept of relaxation. When we say all this all and above everything, we can see that first is being positive and being affirmative of our own self. What I am, how I am. I'm happy the way I am. Being happy with your own body, soul and your own image. This can be something where we are talking about affirmations. I'm a happy person. I'm really very happy with my life around me. Nobody can ill-treat me. I am being treated very well with my people around. I'm working very well. I'm working very well and coping very well with this COVID-19 situation. So these all can be simple affirmations which can really, really help us to move and go ahead. So this is where we want that these strategies, if applied in our day-to-day routine, it can help us and develop a positive well-being for this uncertain time, of course, to cope with it and really go ahead with it, and also for a time which is not uncertain but on a regular pace, a regular lifestyle. How many of you think that when we come out of this lockdown, we'll be the same as we were before? I don't think most of you would agree to this. Now we know that resources are how important to us. Wastage of food should not be done on a regular pace. We have to manage with whatever we are there, whatever we have achieved during this time, how we can cope with it and go with it. These are certain things which we will be progressing. So if we are not coming out, wow, thank you so much. I got one comment which says that positive thinking is the foundation for good in life, irrespective of whatever. And same mindfulness. When we talk about mindfulness, availability to oneself and others, yes, when we are mindful, we are not only available to ourselves, we are available for our family around us. We are available for our friends around us. And don't forget, neighbors are also a part of your family, because the family which stays at a distance cannot easily come to help you in times of crisis. But your neighbors are your first family. We have to really take care of that also. There are many lifestyle changes which we need to make. Can we all just reflect upon that and just note it down that, and see, when we talk about lifestyle changes, it can be different for different people. It can be different for a person who is doing certain thing, who is into a certain job profile, and it can be different for our children. When we say different for our children, they are also in a dilemma right now that what's going to happen next? When are we going to go to school? When are we going to learn? Just explain it to your children that it's not they're not learning. They are learning. It's just not from books. How many of the children have started cleaning utensils? Of course, it is a very good, fine and gross motor activity which they have learnt in the passage of time. So who says that learning is only from books? They are learning from the real life situation. The best way to exercise is to clean your house, doing jhadu pocha, doing mopping and cleaning. This is also a very good way. Now, when we are so busy in our lives on our routine. If anybody who says that during lockdown also they haven't done anything new or they haven't coped up, so these people were just faking around. They never wanted to learn new things. Because when we say, in the routine we say we don't have time, मेरे पास time नहीं है, मुझे कुछ करना है, मेरे पास time नहीं है. But right now we have all the time. But still, if we are not utilizing the time, we are just creating that negativity. So to bring a gist to our session, when we say increase your positive well-being in uncertain times, we know what is uncertain, we know what is our well-being correlated with, and how we can increase it in a best possible manner, in the best positive manner. I gave few techniques which can be used. We can talk about those techniques if required at a later stage also. But these are some simple things which we can do day in and day out without even spending a lot of time. And without even thinking that, because if we have, okay, how many of you knew that if we have to talk about development of a new habit, it does not take more than 21 days. So, of course, we all have developed new habits because lockdown has continued for more than 21 days. In those 21 days, if you have developed a new technique, it becomes a part of your life. Because any new technique to be learned and become a habit within us as a development criteria, it just takes 21 days to do it. So we have been doing it. And one thing, if you're looking positive, okay, let me give you an example about a very famous football player. I'll not name him, most of you will know about him. He was a top football player of his time, and he got cancer. So there was a journalist who went up to him and said that, don't you really think that why you only got cancer? His reply was something which became amazing. He said that when I was the top football player of my time, I never said why me as the top football player. So if I have to fight this situation of cancer right now for myself, why should I ask myself why me at this time? So this is about positive thinking. This is about how we talk about being positive and being mindful. Imagine, otherwise he could have started cribbing and crying, oh, I have suffered cancer, I can't play any more time. So now let us take this time as the positive aspect and develop skills, develop new techniques, develop new learning, develop certain things which you always wished for, learn certain things which we always done for. And see, when we talk about learning, it is not always that there is a huge investment in it. No, मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है तो मैं कैसे करूं? It is not always like that. If you have to learn a skill, it is something which has, you need a mentor, of course you need it, but then everything is not expensive. And today in this pandemic, I know so many, like I know Harvard University has offered so many courses for free. There are so many books which are available for free right now, and they all are supporting this. It has to be our growing phase, it has to be our thriving phase, that when we come out of this lockdown, it has to be a flawless person, what we feel we have to become. And are there any questions? Because I think I have summarized what I have to tell you, and things which you have to work on. I have given you a few tips how we can cope with it in the best possible manner. If there are any queries, I would really like to address them right now. And if you have anything to share or anything to say, I would really appreciate that. Now, when we say lockdown has turned out to be a growing phase, everybody's growth is different. You cannot compare yourself with everybody around. When you say a sugarcane tree shoots up to the tallest in just one season, whereas a mango tree, it takes 16 years for it to develop and start giving fruits. So everyone is different. So here we cannot say that, oh, I have not learned anything, or that person has not learned anything. So please make it a point that you learn. It can be this much for you, it can be this much, it can be this much. It is up to you how you take it and go ahead with it. Oh, this is so nicely written. We need to learn through skills and not through money. This is such a motivating thing to say. Because when we say learning, it is something which is a trigger in us for us to go ahead and learn. And not always investing into, oh, I want to learn ballet. I can just see if I want, I'll not be a master of that. Of course, I'll not say that you'll be mastering that skill in just these lockdown days. No, you'll still ignite the process, you'll move ahead, and you will be ready for new learnings, ready for new openings. Yeah, okay, here someone says that we all are social animal or earth, and we need to give equal space and environment to all of us. Thank you so much for addressing this, that humans are not only social animals present on the earth. So through this lockdown, there are so many things which we are seeing, that there was a Nilgai on CG Road. There are some deers which are found near Ahmedabad city. So these are, we are giving other species also their time to grow and groom within themselves. So this is, we can take it as a positive aspect, that we as humans, we have put ourselves at a back seat right now. Why? Because we wanted these species to go ahead. And yes, people, those who have suffered from this COVID-19 also, it is not as deadly. It is just that you have to be very careful with that situation. And when we talk about being careful, it is being more cautious, being hygienic, taking enough precautive measures, and do whatever we can in the best possible manner for us. And see, when you have a negative thought, oh, मुझे हो गया तो, मुझे हो गया तो, मुझे हो गया तो, मुझे हो गया तो, you might get prone to it and develop it at a later stage. But just be positive and think about it in the progressive manner. So do I have any questions right now which I can address, or I'll just repeat the coping skills once and we can be done for the day. I hope this session was informative for all of you, and some kind of knowledge was shared by me at this point of time. And so, are there any questions? Oh, I think there are no questions coming up. I'll just quickly repeat the coping strategies which we discussed, and I want, most of you might be following it, of course. But then when we say that we are doing it, we need that thing to be told from somebody else also. So if it comes from an outsider, oh, it is great. The best and the most important thing is that we need to be positive. And here there is one thing which says that create positive aura around us. When we talk about being positive, if you are positive, you are transferring that positivity to people around you, and this is all being created in the positive aura around us. So if we are positive thinkers, we are really going to create that positivity around us. And that positivity is also, okay, as coronavirus is contagious, positivity is also contagious. If you are positive, of course you are going to turn your person around you in a positive manner. If you see a smiling face, of course it will be something which is prone to give you a smile back. So see, corona is a contagious disease. Rather than focusing on that, let us focus on positivity, which is also contagious. It can be led very easily from one person to another. The next thing is about mindfulness. The next is trying to do some meditations, coping, relaxing, enjoying this lockdown, learning new phenomena, following ourselves as much as possible with affirmations, and being happy with our life around us. So thank you so much for the session today. I hope it was informative. I'm getting feedbacks in which says that it was informative. Thank you so much for that. And if I can change, or if I can bring a small negligible change in few people who have attended today, it will be a great achievement for me today. Because as everyone needs to thrive, this is my thriving procedure where I want everyone to cope and grow ahead with it. Thank you so much for your patience and listening to me so carefully, and keeping on giving comments and making this session a lively session. I hope you all enjoyed the session, and once again I would like to thank Suman ma'am, Jennifer ma'am for giving me this opportunity, and a big thank you to DPS Bopal for really taking me into account for this session. Thank you so much everyone. Thank you.